Hello, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us here on CBS News 24/7. I'm Lana Zach. Well, on this cold winter day, the nation is saying a final farewell to our 39th president, Jimmy Carter. The plane carrying Carter's casket just took off from Joint Base Andrews and is heading to his home state of Georgia. After the plane lands, a motorcade will take him to his native town of Plains, where he lived his post-White House years. Family members, presidents, and vice presidents all paid their respects during the state funeral at the Washington National Cathedral earlier today. President Biden delivered the eulogy.
Jimmy Carter's friendship taught me, and through his life taught me, the strength of character is more than title or the power we hold. It's the strength to understand that everyone should be treated with dignity, respect, that everyone, and I mean everyone, deserves an even shot.
This afternoon, there will be a private service in Plains at the Maranatha Baptist Church, where Mr. Carter taught Sunday school. Then the former president will be laid to rest next to his wife of 77 years, former First Lady Rosalind Carter, outside of the home that they built in 1961. CBS News producer Elizabeth Campbell and CBS News congressional correspondent Nikole Killion join us now. Elizabeth, I'll start with you. Tell our viewers more about the significance that Plains, Georgia, and the Maranatha Baptist Church had to the former president.
This is really a homecoming for former President Carter. He spent time in Atlanta with the Carter Center. He spent time in D.C. in the White House, but he spent the majority of his years here in Plains. As they told our correspondent Mark Strassman, he wasn't known as Mr. President here. He was known as Mr. Jimmy, and that really comes through. I've been talking with some of the residents here over the past few weeks that we've been covering this, and there is just still that shocking heartbreak loss. He truly was a pillar of the community. So much of Plains is based around people who come to see former President Carter, even if that's at Sunday school here at the church or to try the Plains peanut butter ice cream in his honor. It is truly about him and this community. And this is really going to be a private mourning moment for them in that service later today.
And Nikole, let's talk about President Biden's speech that honored Carter. What stuck out to you?
Well, he really emphasized, to quote him, character, character, character. That is what he says drove him to Jimmy Carter, drove him to endorse Jimmy Carter, becoming the first, as senator at the time, the first real politician at the time to endorse his presidential bid. And he talked about the importance of that, as you heard in that soundbite there. In addition to his walk of faith, those were just two things that the president really pointed out were things that he admired about President Carter. He also talked about the last time that he spent time with the Carters, both he and First Lady Jill Biden. They actually went down to Plains right after he took office in April of 2021. He said that Rosalind Carter opened the door, that Jimmy Carter greeted him and Jill as if they were family, and they just spent time at their home in the living room just talking over their 6 decades of friendship that they have shared. So he talked about just the memories of that visit, and then more broadly speaking about his legacy, not only as the 39th president, but also post-presidency as well, saying that he created this new model post-presidency for what presidents do after they get out of office, of course, referring to the decades of humanitarian work that President Carter spent with the Carter Center, with organizations like Habitat for Humanity. So it was a very moving tribute. You could see kind of that relationship as the president ascended to the podium to deliver that eulogy. He touched Jimmy Carter's casket, and as he came back down, he ran his hands back over that casket, losing a longtime friend and presidential colleague.
And so much of Carter's legacy was about peacemaking, and so it's probably worth noting that President-elect Trump and former Vice President Mike Pence actually shook hands during those services. Elizabeth, time for one more question for you, because we heard Nikole speaking about his warmth, and of course, any of us who had the opportunity to meet the former president felt that immediately upon meeting him. What else should we expect from the rest of today's services?
Absolutely. That service earlier today was a chance for a grateful nation to pay their respects. This is now going to be a chance for a grateful community to pay their respects. You can see behind me, people are starting to file in. The invitation list here is really for those closest to former President Carter, those who knew them for generations. So this is going to be a moment for that spiritual reflection. Obviously, this church was so important to former President Carter. Like you said, those who knew him best could feel his warmth, and they knew how important Sunday school was for him. He rarely missed a Sunday, if ever, if he could help it. And so this really is going to be that moment of personal reflection for everyone filing in the church behind me.
All right, Elizabeth Campbell, Nikole, Killion, thank you.